There are over 1 million people on the council house waiting list, as you know, 500,000 in temporary accommodation that's unsanitary or otherwise unsuitable. It is a proper issue with lots of human suffering. Council house building, of course, fell during the 80s when you and I were cutting our political teeth during the Right to Buy scheme of Margaret Thatcher. But it absolutely flatlined during Blair, Brown, Cameron and May. What's the main obstacle, Michael Gove, to getting more council housing built? Because the alternative is that we keep spending tens of billions now, over £30 billion, on housing benefit. Basically, the state, the taxpayer, funding buy-to-let empires of social landlords, privately run houses. And those social landlords, as you all know, they often don't provide accommodation that is suitable or even sanitary.
You're absolutely right. It's not right to have a system which basically transfers wealth from hard-working taxpayers to landlords in the private rented sector who are not providing decent homes. It is clearly the case that it is both more equitable and more efficient to use the resource that we have in order to get building. Now, there are several things that we hope to do and which the legislation going through the House of Commons will allow us to do. One is we can reform some of the rules on compulsory purchase to make it easier for local authorities and for the government in order to capture land at an appropriate price so that more of the value and the uplift of that land is captured by the public sector and not in the hands of the landowner. The other thing that we also need to do is to make sure that the planning regime allows local authorities and others to build communities more quickly and more easily. And the third thing is that we need to make sure that our new infrastructure levy, which will replace Section 106, which is the sort of negotiation between local authorities and developers, this new infrastructure levy will, I think, have to be devoted in large part to the provision of more affordable social housing.
A lot of people working in local authorities tell me, Secretary of State, that one of the biggest barriers they have is if they spend local authority money, all the rigmarole, building those social homes, they then have to sell them back to tenants if they spark the right to buy within a couple of years. And the money, the proceeds from that sale, then 4/5 of them, as you know well, go back to the Treasury. So the local council doesn't even get the money back to build a new social home. That's a major problem, isn't it?
It is a challenge. We do need to make sure that when people exercise the right to buy, that local authorities and other social landlords have the wherewithal to be able to replace the housing stock that has gone into the private sector that is now in the hands of tenants who become owners. And we need to make sure there is a one-for-one, like-for-like replacement. And that's a message that's well understood by Treasury ministers and by the Prime Minister, and we're exploring and discussing how we can ensure that when local authorities and registered social landlords do build more, and indeed do extend the right to buy for people who wish to own, that we can have an adequate and suitable replacement of the housing stock. That's critical.